Let's start, Mr. Funaki.
Okay, thank you for your time, especially at this summer night. So I'm Masahiko Funaki, developer advocate. So today I would like to share, that the idea of DevOps or the idea of CI and CD, which will help your ship quality code and faster, with guaranteeing the quality of your service as well as the software. So I'm Masahiko Funaki, a developer advocate. So here's my several, that accounts, my GitHub, Twitter, as well as the LinkedIn. I have joined the CircleCI the past June. Before joining the CircleCI, I have been working at the Microsoft, SAP, Sybase, and so on, the technology companies to develop softwares. So currently, I work as a developer advocate. I work with the developer to support their productivity as well as the quality control. So in short, my current job is to inspire you guys developers. So here's today's agenda. I would like minimize the speaking because you know that I am also a developer and I don't like that the hearing the all the session. So I would like to include as much demonstration so that you can understand that what the value of DevOps or what the value of CI and CD much more that visual ways. So here's today's agenda. So I will quickly, to provide the information or introduction of the CircleCI and show the product demonstration soon after. Then also introduce some of the additional features. During the demonstration, you will find some of the questions based on your experiences, based on your development experiences. Is this feature is provided, or how can I do this and that, something like that. So to answering that questions, I will provide additional features which the CircleCI provides. Also, some more other examples are also provided. Then I would like to spend more time on the Q&A at the discussion session. Okay. And if you have any questions, so feel free to to type the question in the Q&A box of the Zoom, so that that I will check that later and see to answer these questions. So CircleCI, let's get back to the CircleCI. So CircleCI. So my, that the mission is to, that inspire the developers. So CircleCI, our company's, that the mission is to make it as easy as possible to go from idea to delivery. So everyone has idea, that which you really would like to implement as a software, as a service. But that because of some of the, that the difficulties, it may, that it takes more time as you expected. So CircleCI or CI/CD process would like to help you to minimize the delivery time from your
Okay,
ideation.
busy uncle.
Okay. So quick intro. So CircleCI, they founded in 2001. So it's 2002, so 9 years have passed. So we have currently globally 320 plus employees across the 5 continents. So in Asian Pacific, the areas we have that office in Tokyo, Japan. Also, that not the working in office, so people in Asia, the time zone also, that working remotely from, for example, in Singapore and some other Asian Pacific region as well. So we help teams build better software faster. So this is, that the CI/CD value. So currently, so that we have our competitors. So, but currently the world's largest shared CI/CD platform. So shared CI/CD platform, in other words, that the CI/CD services provided by the clouds. Also, as I mentioned that, so because we are providing our CI/CD service on the cloud, so we see the data, that what type of the source code have been, that compiled, the build, and what type of the, that the deliverables are built, and what type of the, that the service are deployed to what platform and so on. So our existing the customer includes, that Kickstarter, IFTTT, Udemy, Spotify, Sony, Greenhouse, some of you may know already. So the reason they are, that using the CircleCI as their CI/CD platform is they would like to deliver their services quickly. This also means, that if you can deliver your service quickly, this also means, that you can reflect, that the customers' demand, the customers, that requirements as well as, that customers are new, that the expectation to your service into your code quickly with highly guaranteed the quality. So where CircleCI sits in the toolchain? So I have mentioned that the CircleCI is a CI/CD service provider. So we are not, managing the source code. We are not managing the cloud services as, that AWS, Azure, Google platform are doing. So we are helping you build your code, helping you test your code, and helping you to deliver your code so that, that everyone, your user can reach out to your service and enjoy using that. Okay, so next to today's agenda. So we will run through this agenda. So let me first quickly introduce what the that the CI/CD is, and also provide some of the basic, that the understanding of what CI/CD really do. So what is a continuous integration or CI? So some of you guys have already, that using, that existing CI/CD platform like Jenkins, or others are not. If you are not using existing, that the CI platform, so CI is what you can see now. So this is something like, that to integrate or everyone's, especially you work as a team, integrate everyone's work and to out of their work, build the software quickly with, that the higher the quality. A higher quality means, that every changes you will make on your source code, that should be tested before, that deployment. So after, that every, that your modification has been changed and that tested, then, that the CI/CD automatically, that build and deploy your software.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you providing any certificate for this webinar?
Oh, excuse me, I cannot catch or what you said. So I will get back to you later.
She said that is there any certification for this one? Certification? I think no.
Certification for this.
Also, you mean the authentication? So if that is the case, that authentication to, for example, the that source code, that the management system, or authentication to the deployment target, for example, AWS or that GCP, Azure. So that sort of the information, or that sort of the that activity is also included here. For example, log into the GitHub and that pull the code and build it, or that once that you have built your library you know, that you will access a tool, for example, AWS, the Azure, to and log into that these accounts and you know that they're copying, you know, that the executables or libraries or some, you know, that related files to them. So that will be, you know, that explained later much more in detail. So here's the question. So I mentioned that, you know, that the CI/CD include, you know, that the bring out the source code and, you know, that to build them and also deploy or, you know, that to copy the executables to a target, you know, that the platform or environment. So if you are using it in the CI/CD, or if you are not using the CI/CD, so my question is when, by whom, from which, and with which you build. For example, speaking of the build, so when you build your software or source code, so is it daily build, or is it nightly build, or is it hourly build, or is it something like happens when something, you know, that big changes have made? So I'm not quite sure, you know, that who will judge, you know, that if the changes are big or small or something like that. But anyway, so it is not, you know, that automated. So it is something like, you know, that someone has decided to when to build and start building, or you automate your building, say daily, nightly, hourly, or, you know, that once, you know, that source code has been changed. The next question is, you know, that who built your, you know, that the project, say by a build master, or, you know, that anyone who made big changes, or, you know, that, or, you know, the CI/CD system or CI system will automatically, you know, that start building once, you know, that source code had been changed and, you know, that pushed into the source repository. The third question is, you know, that from which source code, you know, that build will happen. You know, that it is taken from, you know, that the source code management system like GitHub, or, you know, that in older days, you know, that the people are you know, that putting their source code in CVS, or people are putting, you know, that their source code in a shared folder, and then, you know, that a build master will gather into his source code and build them or something like that. So my question is, it should be taken from VCS, version control system, or, you know, that someone, a build master, manually gathers source code and build them. So which one is your, you know, that existing, you know, the situation? The fourth and the final question is, you know, that with which, you know, that you build. So you know, that simple hello world type of the, you know, that application, you know, that just, you know, that several line of a single source code can be built. But the real application has, you know, that some of the and requires libraries, or, you know, that some of the source codes and the other, you know, that the dependencies, you know, that also should consider the version and something like that. So there are so many items to be considered. So it is something like, you know, that you are, what you have suffered from, you know, that's something like DLL hell. So if you know that someone decides when to build, or, you know, that someone start building, or someone gathers source code, or someone manages the version number of libraries which application requires, I think there's a space where CI and CD can really help you to automate everything without any troubles. And also, once a developer update their source code, you know, that all of the required process will be automatically taken care of the CI/CD system. So it is something explained by myself. So it is the illustration. You know that CircleCI will pull the source code from the repository, and, you know, that based on the definition, it will you know, that to build the source code and test source code and to deliver the deployable executable to a deployment target such as AWS. Azure and something like that. Okay, so much for the explanation. It's very, that tiring. So let's get back. Let's get to our demonstration. I hope the screen resolution is not so difficult for you to see. So here's my page of the GitHub. So here today I will set up a CI/CD environment where that the building and the deployment process will be done. And also here I have prepared the CircleCI homepage. So if you have that existing GitHub account, then you can also create the CircleCI account using the GitHub account, and you can also utilize the CircleCI features by to some extent the free of charge. So here I will show you that what the CI/CD can really define and help you your the development. So here is the GitHub pages. So I will create a new the project or workspace in GitHub. Since okay, here's the repository. So I will create a totally new the repositories. For example, what is the today date? August 12, a CircleCI project. And the project or repository can be either the public or private. So here for your the reference, I will make this repository public, so you can refer to this GitHub, the workspace by yourself, and also provide README files here and create repository. So here we have a almost empty, that GitHub, the repository. All you can see now is, that README .md. So I will include the project into the CircleCIs. So here I will go to up as. I have already logged into a CircleCI. So it will automatically, that log into CircleCI using my GitHub, that account. So I will add the project. I mean this one. This is what I have just made, that the August 1 to 12 CCI project into a CircleCI project, so that that everything you store in this project will be taken care of by CircleCI. I mean built and deployed by CircleCI. So I will press set up project. So here is a sample of the the CI/CD configuration file, which we called config.yaml. But this time we won't use this. We will not use the sample and check use existing config and start building. As I mentioned, that the CircleCI automates your, the building processes as well as the deployment processes. But now, both processes, I mean the deployment, the build process and the test process and the deployment process has not been defined yet. So this falls into error. So if you see here is the message, so no .circleci /config.yaml was found in your project. So in other words, that your build definition, test definition as well as the deployment definition will be stored in this file, CircleCI /config.yaml. So let's make it. So here I will make the file, create a new file. As error message or request, we need CircleCI.circleci directory, and the file name should be config.yaml. Enter. And the config.yaml, in config.yaml, we can define, that how the build, test, and the deployment will be done. So let's first start, that defining how the build process will be done. So in config.yaml file, we need a version number, which that CircleCI, which is mapped to a CircleCI version number. So version 2. From historical reasons, we once had a version 1, but currently, basically all you use is version 2 or version 2.1. So here's the specification of version, so version 2. And let's make a definition of build. So build can be, build consists of several portions. So first portion is specification of executor. So here I will use the Docker images. So CircleCI have provided several sets of the Docker images, or also you can use your own Docker images, or that some Docker images are available to you. So here I will use the CircleCI provided Ruby Docker image, and then I will define that what steps we need for the build. So it is often said that that we need a checkout. So this is something like that to check out all of the source code which I'm typing now, stored in the GitHub to be checked out into some place in a Docker image. Then start the compiling, start building that application. So that the required command is different from that language to language, platform to platform. So here for the example, I will not use a specific the program languages. Other than that, this Docker image is basically running on the Linux. So I will provide, so here's the Linux command, hello build. So this is something like the one-liner or the command line images. So here you can see, for example, the Java application. You can write, say, Java C, or you can write some other the compile or build command. So here's just an example. So I will type in the echo command. So this is the way. But that the build is not only the process, because later on we will do testing, we will do the deploying. So build will belong to our jobs. So each build, test, the deploy belong to our jobs. So here I add build definition. So here's the shortest, the image of the config.yaml definition. So I will save it. Create config.yaml and commit the new file. So it is now stored in this place. So it will automatically be detected by the CircleCI and start building process. Okay, it may take some time, so I will check existing chat screen. Is that helpful for Android development? Absolutely. So here I use, that Docker images for, that Ruby. In other words, that in this Docker image, CircleCI has /Ruby. Here you have, that Ruby interpreter as well as other, that Ruby testing environment. So we have a similar, that Docker images for Android deployment as well as Android, that testing. So with utilizing, that the Docker image as well as, that using your existing, for example, your Android study, other studios, that the project. So you can automate, that building processes as well as the testing processes, which also including some of the, that unique testing or, that linked processes or some other, that the component, for example, that checking the code coverage of the testing or something like that, so that that it will really help your under the project is the improving that the code quality as well. Seems to be answers the existing questions. Okay, failed. So, okay, let's see. So what's wrong with the existing definition? So build. So here I see, so spin up the pull accessibility project. It does not, it may require Docker login, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. So I'm afraid, that I have mistyped something like that. So let's open to config.yaml. Oh, okay. So we don't have, that Circle. So CircleCI Ruby 204. So they fixed the Circle to CircleCI and commit changes. Again, so this is automatically, that detected by the CircleCI. So the third, that running process has been just begun. It may also take some time. So yeah, I know it has Java. So for that Java Docker files, for that Android Docker files, so Java is supported, or that not only limited to a Java. That the for example server-side Java is also supported. So let's see. So CircleCI images. So this is Japanese version, so let's make it English. So here is so for example, list of the language, that CircleCI has provided as a Docker image. So this also includes, that the Android closure and the Go, JRuby, and Node.js, that the Java, PHP, Python, Ruby, Rust, something like that. So not limited to these languages because, that basically, that the platform, every language where, that Docker and, that environment or VM environment has been provided that is supported. For example, if you would like to build the iOS application, because you cannot deliver, that the iOS Docker images, but we in CircleCI provide, that the macOS, that Xcode VM images. So with using these VM images, you can build your iOS application, even if you are using, that Windows or Linux environment. I want to certificate a contest. Right. So let's get back to the pipeline. So here's success. So if you see the build, the definition, so it has the 4 components. The first one is the spin-up environment. So in other words, this is something like loading the Docker images to which I specified. You may see the CircleCI Ruby 205. So second one is, that the preparing the environment variables. I have not, that provided any, that environment variables. But for example, if you would like to deploy your application service to AWS, as has been asked, that AWS, the secrets should be required to log into AWS. In that case, it is very risky to write down the secret in this config.yaml file. So the secret can be defined in the environment variables. Then, you can provide such sort of a secret from outside of config.yaml. And also depending on the value of the environment variable, so you can, control your build processes, which, the project or which source code or which library should be updated or not. So the third one is checkout code. So here's the only code checked out is this config.yaml, but anyway, so this config.yaml is checked out to the Docker images. And after checked out this config.yaml, so it will read, the CircleCI will read the config.yaml and execute this echo how build. So the output of echo how to build is this line, hello.build. So echoing how build doesn't make any sense, but if this line are replaced with the compiling or building command of your target environment, your target language, your target framework, that will also the kick or start the building the process. So imagine that this line is something like your build, say JavaC or npm, so or any other that command. So this is very the basic example. So this is just the definition of build. So let's add that the test or some other part as well. So this has been just a build. So I will add test to to test the source code. But again, so here I will just simply say then test. In the reality of your project, so this line should be replaced with, that, for example, the unit to test command or some, that the other test command. But here, for ease of the, that the example, so I will use the echo command. And for just testing, add zip 5 seconds. Then it will take some time. Okay, here we go. I would like to say added test job definition and commit changes. And back to here, the CircleCI. So it will automatically also start the building process. Okay, running this one, number 4. So we expect the first, that workflow ends earlier than before because the Docker image has been already cached. So let's get into the detail. Okay. So just the build process has been done. So I have forgot to mention that. So here I have made a definition of build and the test, but I have not defined, that which job, say either build or test or both build and test should be executed during the workflow. So here I should provide the definition of the workflow. Okay, let's say 5. One more space. So here's the definition of the workflows. So also provide, that the CircleCI version, and provide a lab also, what we call this is build and test. So build and test consists of jobs that is build and test. Here we expect both this build process and this build process and the test process will be executed. Okay, let's check. So here I added workflow definition and commit changes. So here I use the GitHub site to modify this config.yaml file. But in ordinary cases, you will use your the favorite editor such as Visual Studio Code or some other the editor to update the source code as well as the update and that push your modification to GitHub. So here number 5 process is running. So the test has been completed, but the build has just completed. So let's see. So here what we see is, let's get back to here. So first the test has been completed, then build has finished. This order is something different from what we expected, because in ordinary cases or 100% cases, that the first job that should be executed should be built. Then, if the build has succeeded, so no compile error happens, or that no other linkage error happen, then the testing process should be executed. But in this case, that both test and build are executed, and the test has been executed before the build process has been succeeded. So we should fix this problem. So here I have defined the workflow consists of 2 jobs, that is build and test. But this order, the build and the test, does not define the workflow order. So you cannot predict, that which one of these jobs, say either build or the test, has been executed first. In other words, this is bad in our existing cases, but this is also good for your development cases. So that for some of the processes that does not have dependencies each other, so, that these multiple processes can be run at a time simultaneously. So that portion is very good for you. But in our existing cases, so this is not something that what we expected. So in order to execute the test, we should define test requires the successful execution of build. So this is what I mean. So if and only if build has completed successfully, then test will be executed to see if this really works. 8 added dependency to a test and build and save it. And let's go back to here. Okay, number 6, the process has automatically also kicked. So here you see the differences, the build process running first. And if the build process completed successfully now, then test process has just begun. And running now. And you should be expect this also succeeded. Okay, success. So here you see build and test now are linked with this line. This shows that the test depends on build. So if and only if build succeeds, test will be executed. So let's get into the detail for test cases, for build cases. So we see how build. And this echo exit with exit code 0, return code 0. So in other words, so the build process has been succeeded. Then test process has been started. So it has echo then test, so then test. So as a whole, that the build process completed, then the test process completed. This is the whole story.
Why
Okay.
do we need sleeping at the end?
Okay, the reason I inserted the scale is just for testing. I mean that that by inserting the test, that even if these two processes, I mean the build and the test run simultaneously, because both the job include only one line, that echo. So basically we expect both process runs almost, that requires almost the same time. But in this case, here you will see that build consumes that 12 seconds, while the test that consumes 18 seconds. This is something like that 12 out of 5. So it is just for explanatory reasons. For in short, if you build your own, the project, you don't have to insert sleep. This sleep is just for explanation.
Okay,
Not required for your ordinary.
Yeah, I'm afraid that is a magic function.
Right.
Okay.
It's not something like that. So if you miss that shape, nothing would happen. Just for the explanation.
Okay.
Okay. And this explanation is that to show that if we miss this required field, that jobs defined in this area may or may not be executed simultaneously. So sometimes this really works. So let's show, that in good cases, I mean that, that some job will run simultaneously, that help you save your time. Because if, that two or more processes run at the same time, that you can save your time. So
sorry, may I know how to study about the YAML file? Any resources I can search so that I can know what line is doing something.
Good question. Yep. So the shortest answer is that I access CircleCI.com. And here is the developers and documentations. So the configuration. So this configure reference 4 is introduction of, for example, version, what you have seen. The jobs, what you have seen already. And Docker, this has also what you've seen already. And the Docker introduces the Docker images. While, for example, if you would like to build iOS application, so you can specify macOS, or if you would like to build a Windows application, say Windows, the image can be also introduced like here. And other, that the grammatical information can be found in this configuring CircleCI document.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's get back to these cases. So in this, that workflow, the whole workflow consists of a single build process and a single test process. So to see the value of the simultaneous, that execution. So let's add one more test and name it test 1 and test 2. So, and to make things much more clearly, so I have modified this echo to the test 1 and make this guys then test 2, so that you know that here is two definition of the test 1 and test 2. Simply saving this file will fall into errors because I have not defined the modified here. So here I will modify this test into a test 1, and I will also provide test 2. So this means, so the CircleCI first build your source code, and once you know that the build process has been succeeded, then test both test 1 and test 2 job will be executed. But we don't know, you know, that which one, you know, that either test 1 or test 2 runs the earlier or not. But we don't have to care about that because, you know, that the order of the testing does not make any differences. Or, you know, that if, you know, that CircleCI learns from your logs and assign or modulate, you know, that, you know, that priorities, you know, that will be also very beneficial for you to save your time. Okay.
Therefore, it's a async function, and then they will fire when the code is run.
Yep.
Okay.
So here's the same echo, but in this, in the real world, you know, the first test is, for example, the unit testing, and the second test can be, say, UI testing, or you know, the system testing, or something like that. So here I have, you know, that it provided another test, and I execute the possibly. Oh, it's too lengthy. Executing same time. Okay, and save it. Okay, let's get back to here. So the number 7 has started. The first one, the process is built. So here we are building the software. Our system is succeeded. Then move to test. So if you see now, you know that both test 1 and test 2 are running. So if you know that execute test at your desktop, say test 1 first, then test 2. So you may take the longer, the twice longer than this automated process. Test 1 ends, and test 2 ends. So here you may see, you know, that both test 1, test 2 runs, and they are, you know, that each of them have dependency of the build, so they have that test is successful. So no matter how much test you are required to execute, so all you have to do is just add, you know, that definition of test 3, test 4, test 5, and test them simultaneously. Okay, but this time we will stop the test. We'll stop adding test 1 and test 2, and to start defining of the deployment process. So we have defined the build and the test 1 and the test 2. So then we will add deployment process to save time and copy them. So also to use the same, that Docker images and okay, they change the this here. So finally deploy. You can add or you can remove the same process. But what is important here is deploy should be done if and only if both test 1 and test 2 have been succeeded. So here I should add deploy. Deploy requires both test 1 and test 2. Otherwise, that if I may specifying these 3 lines, deploy may execute it before build, before test. So that is not what we expect. So there should be definition of the dependency. Here I use the keyword requires and specify test 1, test 2. Okay, added deployment definition. And get back to here. And number 8 has started. So here you see build, test 1, test 2, test deploy. So the first one is the build. And once build has been will be succeeding. Or we may show here. Okay, now test 1, test 2 are running. Test 1 started slightly earlier than test 2, but currently we see both test and test 2 running. And now test 1 and test 2 both has completed successfully, so deploy has started. Okay, so now we see the deployment. So in a real, that definition of your the project to deploy, this deploy is something like, that deploying a Docker image or deploying, that the library or deploying executables to your target environment, say AWS Azure and so on. So here we see the basic, that the structure of build, test, deployment, and deploy. But if we get back to the config.yaml file, so there should be some of the redundancies, that every time, to build the process, or every time we test the process, every time we deploy the process, we are doing the same, that checkout. So, that currently, because that our the project or our repository just consists on a single config.yaml file, so it is not time consuming. But that if your project has that the thousands of the source code, that the checking out every time, well, that just waste of time. So we have the cache the mechanism so that that once that the build has succeeded, one test has been succeeded, that existing environment can be cached and passed to different job. So I will show how we can do that. So here in the let's get to the top. So here what we have done is check out and echo how build. So here we not make any the objects out of this source code. So it's not compiling, but we would like to that make objects, something like the quasi or fake object out of this So my workspace, for example, echo output. And before doing so, I would like, I should, that create, make a directory, my workspace. So in your project, this is something like, that the compile command to, that make object, or it is something like, the compile the command to make executable out of the source code. But here, okay, we will regard this echo a output file as a single executable. So in the test one, so we can execute the test to this echo output. But in order to mimic the testing, it is not echo. It is more something like, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So we have the save this object, but we, because that if Docker image is gone, that everything will be disappeared. So we should save this status, the echo to somewhere else. So here, CircleCI provides persist to workspace, where to save the current status. Root my workspace and the path echo output. So the more workspace and the echo output would be saved somewhere, the other data passes in the storage. Then in the test, so we should recover the saved workspace. So in order to complete, that recover the saved workspace, we will attach workspace at my workspace. So expand the saved status at workspace areas. And here run. In order to really, that recover the status above, so cat my workspace echo output. Here I expect that as a result of test one, we may see this hello build because there's a cat command. Okay, we will keep this as it is, or we can also do the attach workspace at my workspaces and run. Okay, here we can do clearly testing. I should have prepared copy and paste, but I will write down everything. So if, let's check the contents of the file, the echo output. So if we cat my workspace in the echo output, if we will do this, and if the content is, for example, trying out workspaces. But this is not true because in this echo output, what we have saved is hello build. So this condition is not satisfied, but echo worked. But if we know that the contents of echo output is something different, it failed. But fine. Okay. And the deployment is basically okay. Or Okay. We will replay this checkout process to attach workspace and also finally deploy. Also may add cat my workspace a echo output. Okay. Let's see if this will works. Other portion, okay. So here a added workspace. What I call is that the persistence attach. Let's see if it works. Okay, started the whole process. We expect a test one completed successfully, while test two will be failed because the content because the I forgot the file name. The content of echo output is something different from what we expect. Okay. This is what we have expected. So test one has completed successfully. Let's check. For test one, cat my workspace echo output. So here you may see the hello build. So it really worked. But test two has not succeeded. Has not been succeeded. So the deployment, this has not been started because that the test two has not been completed gracefully. So let's get into test two. The problem is, but this is something like what we expect different. So it failed, but this is different. It failed, but it's because this should be a single quote, not double quote. Okay, comp changes. Okay, let's see this again. So this time the order has been automatically, the assigned order has been changed. So test one comes first and test one comes later. So the building process is now on the way. Oh, why does it do it? Okay, so that has been completed. And test two and test one. Okay, I made some mistake. Test two should be failed, but the test here test two succeeded. Why? The reason is, okay, let's see. The reason is if you see the test, if we see the test two. So we see it failed, but exit code 0. So the what you see is it failed, but the CircleCI regard this result as succeeded because the exit code is 0. So if you really that using the testing command, so the return code or exit code should be the assigned appropriately. But here, because this is echo command, so what I should do is exit 1. This means the CircleCI regarded this echo to be the fail of the testing. Sorry for taking the time. build process. Okay, build has been completed. Then, okay, test it two errors. So let's see why errors. Because the exit status is 1 because it returns the exit 1. So this is the problem. So in this case, because you know that the reason is quite simple, straightforward, so we can fix it easily. But if you know that your project is much more complicated and it's very hard to you know that hard to find you know that where the problem really exists. CircleCI that provides you know that get into this console with SSH. So let's you know that execute this test2 again and see what is really the problematic the portion by logging into SSH. Okay, cute. So now you see the screen, the extracting the Docker images. So here we see the same result. It failed, and you know the exit code is 1. So what is the problem? We can see here you may see the SSH command to get into this Docker image. So I will type this. I will access the Docker image to see where the problem really exists. So SSH port number is 64537. And this is accessible from this IP address. 54196. Oh, 196.
Please share your project's code.
Excuse me. So here I log into this, you know,
In the chat box.
A chat box. Okay, I will check the chat box. So here we see the project.
Tell the code in the chat box.
Okay, let's see. Please share the code with me again. Oh, okay. So as this is, okay, so as this is, you know, that shared in here. So I will provide everyone. So I have shared this GitHub URL, so you see the source code. And also I will provide the slide as well, so you can see the slide later on. So here, okay, let's get back to the Docker image. So here is the Docker where you know that this test is running. So here let's see the project. So here you see the my workspace. So you see the echo output. Let's see the contents echo output. So how build? As this requires a trying out workspace.
Thank you so much.
Trying out workspaces. So if this hello world in build is replaced with trying out workspaces, the test tool should be ended successfully. So updated to build. Changes. So here you see the build process is running. Okay, so test 1, test 2 process. Test 1 is running. Test 2 will be started shortly after. Okay, test 1 done. Okay, test 2 has just started. Okay, this time test 2 has started because it worked and it got 0. And the whole process has been succeeded. So it takes a longer time than I expect, but here's the whole demo story. So here with utilizing the CircleCI and the configuration file, you can define the build and the test and the deployment processes. And also the most time consuming portion in your the development is the debug. So to support your debugging, CircleCI supports that the SSH the login to Docker images. So here you may see some of the output or some of the environment. So you can log into a Docker image like this to test everything by yourself to see what is the right answer, the right modification to your source code. Then rerun the whole process to deploy your service to your target platform. Okay, let's get back to the slide. Oops. So we have done. So what we have done is, that each the job, for example, build job, the test job, a deployment job, consists of several steps like echo blah 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 or if blah blah blah, and a series of jobs, or in other words, the workflow consists of a series of jobs, say a build, test, what test 1, 2, and deploy. So this is an illustration of the whole structure of workflow job steps. So to support writing or the configuration file much more, the efficient way, especially you work with AWS or you work with, the other languages or you work with other testing platform. We have other key features, for example, the orbs, or to support your testing, that you can specify, for example, the required CPU RAM. Okay. And also, we have some other features. So SSH, you have that demonstrated, or some other, that the execution result or the testing result can be obtained as the insights. And some other features are also provided to promote your, the development. Okay, sorry for taking longer time especially at the night. So I would like to move on to question and answer, also at the discussion session related to the CircleCI or related to also a generic, the DevOps or CI/CD.
So it's free to try the CircleCI?
Yes. So I forgot the exact number, but it's that within that I forgot the exact to say 200 minutes was 2,000 minutes. I forgot the number, but per week are freely provided, and also it is limited to that Linux and Windows and Android possibly. So iOS or Apple are not included in the free plan. But basically, if you are, that every day working on the Linux or Windows environment, I think that it has been covered by free plans. And also, if you can, if you, that submit that your project is not your personal project, it's open source project, we can support your open source project. I mean, we can provide more credit, so you can use
really
more. Yes, so
okay.
you can use more computing resources.
Okay, cool. Anyone have a question for Mr. Funaki? that too fast, or is a very big session for you? Those or any suggestion for further next session we can share. Yeah, in this session you may share your opinion. If that is no question, feel free to you may ask in the Facebook fan page or in the our Facebook group, so that we can further you to ask Mr. Funaki.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. If no question, then we will end of this session. Thank you, Mr. Funaki.
Thank you very much for your time on this. Thank you for very much your attention.
Yeah. Yes. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Funaki, we may discuss later for further event or next topic we can engage. Yeah, because this one is good. I can see the whole end-to-end testing and try the CircleCI, because last time I've no direction to start the CircleCI.
Thank you so much. It was great with you.
Yeah, thank you also. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah,
so please share the next session's link with me via mail.
We will share when we discuss the next session, next topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you. Okay. Have a nice evening. Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you also. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.